For my family, I'm always at my best. That's why I also want the best in my kitchen. And that means only Eggland's Best Eggs. They're always so fresh tasting and delicious, with 6 times more vitamin D, 10 times more vitamin E, and 25% less saturated fat than ordinary eggs. So why give your family less when they can have the best? Eggland's Best. Better taste, better nutrition, better eggs. For added convenience, look for our hard-cooked peeled eggs.
Special Agent Will Trent.
ABC Tuesdays.
You run from the dark. That's why it chases you. Get out of my house!
The hit series Will Trent is back.
Well, this is a manhunt, not a murder that needs to be solved.
And the truth.
This man killed my mother and left me to die!
Is out.
I think if we don't catch this guy, then he's gonna go off the deep end.
Of control.
They won't even see you coming.
I have to end this.
Will Trent. Tuesdays 8, 7 Central on ABC and stream on Hulu.
Well, the holidays have come and gone once again, but if you've forgotten to get that special someone in your life a gift, well, Mint Mobile is extending their holiday offer of half off unlimited wireless. So here's the idea. You get it now, you call it an early present for next year. What do you have to lose? Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Limited time 50% off regular price for new customers. Upfront payment required. $45 for 3 months, $90 for 6 months, or $180 for 12-month plan. Taxes and fees extra. Speeds may slow after 50 gigabytes per month when network is busy. See terms.
You can support this podcast at patreon.com/partnersincrimemedia.
I'm Rebecca Lavoie, and this is Crime Writers On. Crime Writers On is the original true crime review podcast that digs into true crime, pop culture, other podcasts. And on this episode, a journalist spans the globe looking for the woman who broke his brother's heart and stole his parents' money. We'll review the podcast Deep Cover presents Snowball. Joining me to get that done and more is true crime author, TV journalist, and host of These Are Their Stories podcast, my husband and plaid-wearing hunk, Kevin Flynn. Hello, Kevin.
Hello, Rebecca.
Also with us, private investigator, certified pet detective, resident cat lady, and author of The Final Curtain, Laura Bricker. Hi, Laura.
Hey, Rebecca.
And finally, our captain of all things cynical, author of the City Trilogy, host of Rip Current, More Like Ancient Failians, Strange Arrivals, and our Patreon book club, Toby Ball. Hola, Nano.
Hola. And now House Hunters International Valencia edition.
Hell yeah.
We actually saw that episode. Are you going to be on it?
No, but we're looking for an apartment. And I had a quick, some stuff got fucked up with the meeting. So I was briefly on a meeting while we were looking at an apartment. So I was kind of showing them around.
That is the most House Hunters International shit I've ever heard. It could be like, Toby Ball makes a podcast. Their budget is $7 million.
That's right.
Actually, the way House Hunters International works is the budget is always really, the people always seem like they have money. And then it's like, we want to pay $1,100 a month, US, in Paris. And we want to be downtown near cafes and shops and have an American-sized refrigerator. That's usually what it's like.
You can't get that in Ypsilanti.
Yeah, we were, it's interesting. I mean, it's fairly inexpensive by American terms. Like the place we were looking at was too expensive for us, but it was like this penthouse thing that was unfurnished that had these insane views and stuff, but it wasn't like super posh like you would expect a penthouse. It was just like on the top floor.
Yes.
So, but it was way too expensive. And it was one of those things where like, oh yeah. And then, so there's this, and then there's like the something fee, and that's €100 a month. And then there's this. I was like,
and you still have to buy beds and a couch.
Yes.
Exactly.
And if it's House Hunters International, the naggy wife goes, it's fine.
Yeah.
I think we should push the budget. And then the practical husband, who also sometimes is very controlling, is like, no, I don't care if you want a place to hang your towel. We can't have that.
The Valencia one, or at least one of the Valencia ones, the one I saw, the wife was just like, I need natural light in the kitchen, and I need this and I need that. And the husband's just like, I just want like a little place where I can sit outside. And she's like, well, that's not going to happen,
I need light.
They do love casting the woman as the shrew in that show. It's so funny. It's always like, she wants to have her family come visit 18 times a year, so they need 2 extra bedrooms. And he's like, we moved here to get away from her fucking family, so we need no extra bedrooms. Like, it is always an interesting thing. Anyway, Kevin, I'm getting the move on finger. Should we talk about the podcast we're supposed to be talking about?
No, don't you want to know what's coming up on Thursday?
Oh, what's coming up on Thursday's program?
Well, on Thursday, we're going to be talking about critical incident, death at the border order. It's from HBO Documentary Films.
All right. Well, now should we talk about the thing we're here to talk about?
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay. Leading off
is our lovely Greg, who is a kind, far-seeing, intelligent, good-looking young man, in that people used to even say he looked like Tom Cruise. So that must be a measure.
After New Zealander Greg Wards married an American, she convinced him to open a cafe in a resort town. He later learned that Lezlie Manukian forged bank documents, stole money, and made off with his parents' life savings.
My parents, in their 60s, went from living in a leafy Auckland suburb to squatting in the basement at my auntie's house. As my family tried to understand what had happened, they realised they might have been the victims of an elaborate con job.
Years later, Kiwi journalist Ollie Wards examined his family's efforts to locate Lezlie. Wards picked up the search and discovered a trail of more fraud, cover stories, and victims.
So far, I've found out about the trouble Lezlie got into before she came to New Zealand. But now I want to know about what happened after Lezlie left Greg, the Dragonfly, and New Zealand behind. And the only way to find out more is to get closer to Lezlie, literally.
Snowball is from the Unravel Podcast team at the Australian Broadcasting Corporation and is being redistributed in the feed for Pushkin's Deep Cover series. Part family profile, part shoe leather mystery, Snowball follows Ward's attempt to reconstruct how his family was brought to financial ruin and what happened to the woman who caused it all. Spoiler alert, we're going to be talking about plot points from Deep Cover Presents, Snowball. So if you want to remain spoiler-free, go to the estimated time code in our show notes for our thumbs up or thumbs down reviews. Now, Kevin, I want to talk about the distribution on this.
Yeah.
At my day job, NHPR, we have, in fact, played a Boston Globe investigative series in our investigative series feed, and they have done the same for us, usually one episode, sometimes a little more. What do you think about this distribution model? Because I'm seeing it more and more frequently. People saying, hey, you made a great podcast. It hasn't reached our audience yet. And then just coming up with an agreement to basically feature it. I don't know what the monetization model looks like, but what do you think about this idea?
Well, I mean, I think, like you said, the distribution model is uncommon, but increasingly employed and very well used. So it's like more than just a feed drop, right? And I like it because it, really brings a curated story from another part of the English-speaking world, bringing it to a new audience. And this was a good one to do it with. Not only is it a good fit with Deep Cover, but it's also, I think, a really great podcast. And so I think it was a wise choice.
Now, Laura, Ollie, our narrator, is essentially telling a story about his own family. And that goes in a few different directions. We find out that he has like two brothers, one who seems real gregarious and the other one who seems, for lack of a better word, like a little bit less so. He seems like a little bit, like they sort of frame him as being like maybe a little bit odd, the guy who married this woman, Lezlie.
Yeah.
What do you think of this idea of like, you're telling a story about your own family, it's going to bring you places you didn't expect, and sometimes it's going to have to be about your relatives?
Yeah, I think what was interesting about the way that Ollie did this is he managed to bring it in with a sense of humor. There were times like, they're making fun of the dad because the dad keeps writing to Dr. Phil and wants to get them on there. And, at one point they are joking about the car. But because I think time has passed in this, this is obviously horrible. Like your family loses everything because they invest in this property with this woman that's marrying the brother. And they, are like living in a basement, his parents. And so you're thinking, this is a horrible story. There's no way this can be done any way that's not going to be super sour grapes and super bitter and angry. But they managed to do it in this very conversational way. And I think the thing that works is that the family is open to telling the story because they've all been curious as well. Like, what happened to this woman, Lezlie? Why did she do this? Where is she now? Like, what the hell happened here? Like, were we alone in this? Was this really as bad as we thought it was? Or was this just a mix-up like she's trying to say? So I thought the family being willing to take part worked well, except I never really did feel like I got a great sense of the brother that actually married Lezlie.
Yeah. So, Toby, this is the second week in a row where we are engaging with content that has to do with basically a person pretending to be somebody else. Although this time, Lezlie isn't, playing another character. She's just being dishonest about who she is with the people she meets. Do you think that this kind of story isn't as surprising as it should be anymore?
Well, I guess not. I feel like we've gone through a few because there's the one about the woman in London whose cousin or something was like 15 different people.
Sweet Bobby.
Yeah, Sweet Bobby. And then there was Beth's Dead, where, again, it was a whole bunch of personalities. In this one, I think the only other real person well, that's not even true. Like there's the lawyer who seems as though that's a figment of her imagination. And then I thought there was a couple of like interactions between the lawyer and somebody else. But regardless, it didn't really, for me, like detract from the podcast. But I do think like it was just not that surprising to me to find out that the lawyer wasn't an actual person. I was like, oh, well,
right.
That seems like kind of par for the course. So, yeah, I mean, I feel like there's a bunch of things that are kind of like that it's like, okay, con men who can convince people like this ridiculous stuff for like 10 consecutive years. And this multiple persona thing is another. The other thing is, have we not heard about this particular story before?
Thank you. I swear to God, we listened to something about this story.
I know I've seen her because I was like looking up to see what they looked like. And I was like, oh, I've totally seen this person before. And then the whole Dr. Phil thing was another thing. Yes. It was like this guy just constantly wanted to get on Dr. Phil. And so I don't know what it was, but we've definitely heard this story before.
Same. It was driving me crazy the whole time I was listening.
I don't know what you guys are talking about. I don't remember any of that. So,
well, this is a good time to play that game that you sometimes like to play in the after show.
I remember the Dragonfly name. I remember the inn. I remember the parents going belly up because they gave their lawyer to her. I'm like, where have I heard this story before?
You remember everything except the name of it. So
it's crazy.
That was helpful.
Is it real? Maybe this is like your Ed Weiss or Ted Weiss or whatever that is. So, Kevin, Ollie has sort of an unwitting accomplice in this storytelling thing by learning about some stuff his dad did in the past, way back when he was trying to figure out what was going on. And we learned that his father did, I'm not going to lie, exactly what I would have fucking done in the early 2000s when it was still possible and you didn't have two-factor authentication. He basically had been conned by this woman and then figured out her email password and busted into her email. Thoughts?
You don't need two-password authentication now for Gmail.
Yeah, you do. It'll be like so-and-so is trying to log in from Concord, New Hampshire.
I think that was great. I mean, that's sort of like probably the best little real-world detective thing, which was that he somehow found the actual written down password.
Password is password.
Yeah, that's what it was. And just went in, and then what did he do? He just copied and pasted into individual Word documents.
So funny.
And he was probably using doing this on his iPad.
Yeah,
holding up, taking big
photos. This was like early 2000s, but yeah.
And I think that was kind of a funny thing. I mean, it's very important because it actually does inform quite a bit of what's going on, because it does put some context to Leslie's relationship with her parents, because we make assumptions about how they fit into this. We see the way that she is communicating with her parents, and it's quite different than I expected. And then you get all the other stuff. So it's not just sort of entertaining in color. It does move the mystery forward. But the thing that I cracked up on, I burst out laughing because we do all this stuff about, okay, here's the lawyer, right? Like we got to, we find out that the name of the trust company is something somewhere else, and you got this lawyer, and the lawyer's name is actually the real name of Harry Houdini and all this other stuff. And poor Ollie spent 8 months trying to track down the lawyer, or, just kind
figure
of prove
out if he's real.
And the father says something like, oh yeah, I knew right away, and I got the password for that too. And just
for his email account.
Yeah, for his account. And Ollie's just like, Dad, what the hell? Why did you tell me this? I just spent all this time.
Maybe I can look at Eric's emails with her password. And I did. And it worked.
Why didn't you tell me this when we were talking about the Eric
I'm sure I've told you this.
He definitely didn't. I think I would remember that.
I also want to talk about Leslie's parents. I want to put a pin in that because that's, I think, a meaty discussion I want to have. But first, I want to ask Toby about a production question, because I know this is something that you've dealt with in the work that you do, where you have material that needs to essentially be read, and read in such a way that the listener won't die of boredom listening to something being read. So we get sort of some recreated, voice-acted emails here. Do you think the way that they did that worked in this production?
I did not. It was a little over the top and a little cartoonish, to be honest. Although I don't know, maybe in Australia, like it hits a little bit differently to do that kind of California girl kind of thing. Like I imagine if somebody was making an Australian podcast and we had somebody be like, crikey, whatever, they'd be like, what the fuck?
Scooter came in to see me last night. It was like old times seeing him at the bar. He really has a great personality. Once you get to know him. After a couple of glasses of port, he was talking to all the other people around him.
The whole rest of it is just so kind of well judged and has like this very nice kind of feel to it. And then this little bit of it just seemed like a little sort of lesser podcast, I guess.
Yeah. What do you think, Laura? Because we get emails that are obviously supposed to be from Lezlie to people. We get emails like the fake lawyer emails. Like, did the way it was executed bother you at all?
I agree. It was very over the top. And just, thinking about how different accents play in different parts of the world. I mean, how many times have we talked about Nicole Kidman trying to do an American accent? So there's some sort of a disconnect between that part of the world and this part of the world in terms of what we think people sound like. It was ridiculous. Like the lawyer's voice was like just so much like a cartoon. But at that point, I was just so drawn in by the crazy things these people were saying that I was like, I can set this aside for now because I just can't believe now that I know that this is the same person with the same password and the same email sending emails to themselves that they are then sending to their parents, hearing the level of detail that was put into the story that was being told.
You didn't buy the book deal, Laura?
Oh, yeah. I was like, yeah, okay. Yeah. The whole thing was just insane. And I'm like, how is it that nothing ever happened with this? I thought the voices were ridiculous, but I was just like, what the fuck when I would hear the details. So I just kept listening.
I love the idea that they're going to make a movie with Alyssa Milano about a woman who just had a bunch of failed restaurants. It's like, is that the plot? Is this like you try again and again to open a restaurant and they all fail?
By the way, I think I just realized what you guys think was the same story as this.
What's that?
Didn't we do that apple cider vinegar thing on this show?
Nope.
No, we didn't.
Never mind. Because that story is not dissimilar in terms of the details. There's a food component to it. There's a money. Anyway,
I'm going to spend days looking for this.
Thinking about this.
I have been spending days thinking about it. It's been driving me crazy.
Kevin, this doesn't sound familiar to you, you said, right?
No, because I do not engage in stealing people's life savings to get them on Patreon.
You don't?
It's very affordable.
It is.
And yeah, absolutely. It supports us. The bank will not come and foreclose on the cafe that I abandoned for you to take care of. You get exclusive content when you go to patreon.com/partnersincrimemedia.
Business section, we're in that.
You will get exclusive content like the Crime Writers on After Show. This week, for us Gen Xers, we have a bittersweet goodbye to MTV. For those of us who do not grow up in Vermont and watch television off a generator, we might talk a little bit about the legacy of MTV and how we feel now that we are old and that's going away, or it's gone away. Other exclusive content includes Toby Ball's Deep Dive Book Club podcast. You got to be checking out of the library or downloading on your device the Lumumba Plot. It's the secret history of the CIA and a Cold War assassination. Toby, why did that book appeal to you and you wanted to put it on your list for 2026?
Events caught up to it, definitely. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I always in the deep dive try and throw in some non-Western, non-US stuff, and this has always been kind of a story that I've been interested in, so I was psyched to see that there was a well-regarded book about it that came out recently. So that's what we're doing, and maybe it'll give us a little insight on what's coming up in the next few months in our own country.
I doubt it. Okay, we also have Married with Podcast and the podcast Something's Off with Rebecca and Mel Barrett. And if you become a Bricker Skiller, you get one additional exclusive podcast. It's Leave It to Bricker. And Laura, you got a bonus episode coming up about what? Surviving winter?
Yeah, it's cold in winter here in New Hampshire. It's icy, it's snowy. I've gone behind the scenes to find out about glue wine. which is a traditional German warmed beverage for these cold months. And
glue wine doesn't sound great in English.
I'm going to tell you what, it's delicious, and I'm going to bring you the behind-the-scenes information about how I found out about it and how to make it so you too can survive winter.
Some people enjoy sniffing glue. Laura enjoys drinking
it, yeah, exactly. We can tell. If you come in at the Let's Do What We Do level, you get episodes of Crime Writers on early and ad-free. And if you're a deep diver, you become an official sponsor of Toby Ball's Deep Dive Book Club. We talk about Patreon all the time, and if you're curious, if you're Patreon curious, you can try us free for 7 days, or if you'd like, you can listen to the first couple of minutes of every episode for free. And if you like us, give us a try for 7 days, and you'll stick with us forever. That sounds like a threat, but it really isn't, doesn't it?
You won't like what happens.
Yes.
You won't like what happens if you try us out, folks. You're going to be stuck with us forever.
The snowball is coming, so.
Who would say that? Like, what a ham-fisted thing to say.
Yeah.
You better watch out, Greg.
She's talking about the podcast. She's not talking about you guys.
All right, Kevin, does thus end our business section?
Thus ends the business section.
Let's go ahead and fade that music out. Kevin, who's our next sponsor?
Oh, well, we are beginning the year with our friends from Quince.
Our friends indeed.
Yeah. Are you starting the year needing a wardrobe refresh? Maybe you got too many robes for Christmas and not enough
all
great
the moms
sweaters.
With their robes.
Yeah. Look, you got to be layering. You got to be mixing. You got to be building a wardrobe that lasts. And with Quince, their versatile styles make it easy to reach for them day after day.
I just bought from Quince basically my new favorite sweater.
Yeah.
It's a Mongolian cashmere kind of boxy cropped cardigan.
Mm-hmm.
It is this beautiful color, heather truffle brown. It goes with neutrals. It goes with black. It goes with jeans. It goes with skirts. I love this sweater so much. You are going to be seeing a ton of it this winter.
Yeah, that works because Quince also has these beautiful 100% silk tops and skirts to easily, you don't want to say mix and match.
Oh, you can mix and match.
Okay.
You can say that.
Yeah.
Refresh your wardrobe with Quince. Don't wait. Go to quince.com/crime for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. Now available in Canada too.
Bonjour, hi.
That's QUINCE.com/crime to get free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/crime.
Special Agent Will Trent.
ABC Tuesdays.
You run from the dark. That's why it chases you. Get out of my house!
The hit series Will Trent is back.
Well, this is a manhunt, not a murder that needs to be solved.
And the truth
This man killed my mother and left me to die!
is out
I think if we don't catch this guy, then he's going to go off the deep end.
of control.
They won't even see you coming.
I have to end this.
Will Trent, Tuesdays 8/7 Central on ABC and stream on Hulu.
Well, the holidays have come and gone once again, but if you've forgotten to get that special someone in your life a gift, well, Mint Mobile is extending their holiday offer of half off unlimited wireless. So here's the idea. You get it now. You call it an early present for next year. What do you have to lose? Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Limited time 50% off regular price for new customers. Upfront payment required. $45 for 3 months, $90 for 6 months, or $180 for 12-month plan. Taxes and fees extra. Speeds may slow after 50 gigabytes per month when network is busy. See terms.
Now, I want to address for me what is the lingering question that doesn't get answered in the podcast that I still very much think is at question.
Mm-hmm.
What the hell with these people claiming to be Leslie's parents?
Yes.
So
Yeah.
Greg met them. They came to the wedding, right? Greg met them at one point, but then there seems to be a lot of mysterious shit happening around communication with her parents, around their affect. Laura Bricker, are these in fact Leslie's parents, yes or no?
I am going to say no.
No?
So they come to the wedding. Everyone thinks they're like rented actors because they're super standoffish. They're doing all of these sort of stereotypical American sort of things, like the way they're dressed. They're very stiff.
They seemed a little bit stand-in, like, because they were sort of a bit there but not there.
We joked that they were hired actors because...
Yeah, why?
I don't know, because they definitely didn't fit the profile of, like, who you think her parents would be. And they were kind of weird and quiet, and there wasn't, like, a lot of love.
There's just something off about these people. And I, too, was like, okay, what's the deal? Are we ever going to find out? Are they real? Are they not real? Because they are also getting these crazy emails from Brian T. Weiss, and they're responding, and then their response to Ollie's parents is something along the lines of like, oh, we feel empathy for you more than you can know.
It sounds just like something she would say, right?
Exactly. And then, at the end, when Ollie and Simon are off on their, California adventure trying to get to the bottom of things, then Lezlie sends him this thing about like, never contact my parents. And it's just the way that it all plays out, that's like such a deflection technique. I'm like, never contact my parents. Because you don't have any parents. Because you were raised by wolves.
My feeling, and Kevin, I'd love you to weigh on this, is that the parents are real people, but she is actually the one behind all of their electronic communication.
Yeah.
And they actually know very little about any of this or anything because they don't have an email address. They have like Leslie's parents at gmail.com, and she's the one writing both sides of the email. So another interpretation of it, there is one other question though about that, right?
Well, hold on. I'm going to push back slightly on that. I think that in those emails, those Gmail emails, there are some between Lezlie and her mother.
Right, which I think could be between her and her.
But for what purpose? That she's writing to herself? That's not part of any plot.
I think she's creating a persona that she can then later use. That's what I think. Because all these emails were forwarded, or you know what I mean?
Well, anyway. It seemed like she's exchanging actual emails with her mother, because then you've got the lawyer trying to convince all sorts of people, including her mother, that all these other things are going on. She has made a menagerie of characters, no doubt. I think that there is a chance that the parents are kind of victims to some extent. I mean, they certainly seem to know more, like Laura says, about Leslie's actions and her personality type than they let on. Like the wedding thing, seems to be a bit of maybe sadness, especially from the mom, because kind of realizing the kind of person her mom is. I don't think these are two actors because Greg went to their house in California because the dad made tanks for the army and stuff like that.
Water tanks.
Yeah. Water tanks. Yeah. But it kind of raises the question, and Ollie raises this too, and it's never quite answered because they can't, is that to what extent are they in on it? And to what extent are they tied up in it? Because it just seems to be that while the trail that she didn't think anybody was looking at these emails, that she is trying to take money from different people, she attempts to be paying something back to the parents, or at least to mom. But in the end, somebody picked up the telephone at the house to impersonate the lawyer who did the due diligence.
I thought it was the financial institution.
Or whatever. But someone called somebody in the United States. That phone number was her home address. They talked to someone. Maybe dad has a completely different take on what has been happening than mom.
What do you think, Toby? Because part of me is she might have some control over her parents and their communications or whatever. And she may have just said to them, listen, someone's going to call and ask you these questions and I need you to say these things. I'm just curious what you think, because I just kept thinking certainly the email that his parents get from her parents seems like something she would write about herself, in my opinion. What do you think, Toby?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it is the thing that they don't really answer. Since you don't really have any evidence, but just thinking about it sort of novelistically or whatever, I mean, you could see sort of the potential for a parent to be trying to keep their very troubled kid afloat, and going to do this in sort of a misguided attempt at keeping them from getting in more and more trouble. It's hard to imagine she had parents who didn't sort of understand that, she was sociopathic, or, I mean, this must have been stuff that had been happening beforehand. So, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I sort of two minds about whether it's sort of enabling parents in sort of a last ditch effort to kind of keep her life from completely falling apart, no matter what the damage is. And then also potentially her combination of her having influence over them and doing stuff herself.
Yeah.
It's sort of a two-pronged approach to having these fake parents.
Wait a minute, when you say fake parents, do you literally mean that? Or?
Yeah, well, I mean, I should have said semi-fake parents. I mean, I think they're real people who are given different personas by Lezlie, right? I mean,
I think so.
I think
that's
she
right.
manages to keep them from genuinely portraying themselves. And to a certain extent, and, you know, looking back on the wedding, it's like maybe they're standoffish because they show up, they're like, we don't even fucking know what these Australian people think about us. Like, we don't know what they've been told about us or whatever. It may have nothing to do with the truth. So rather than get into that super, super uncomfortable situation where it turns out that I'm actually like, you know, a mortgage adjuster or something instead of like making water tanks for the army, like we'll just sort of keep them at arm's length and kind of go through the motions and then go home before it gets awkward.
I just want to be clear. These are New Zealanders, not Australians, Toby.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Not Trip on the Barbie.
That's right.
Yeah, sorry.
That's right. You don't want to besmirch these folks.
Ollie was working in Australia. Yeah.
There's a whole Flight of the Conchords about that.
Yes.
That's right. And which was evoked. Flight of the Conchords.
Yeah.
Right.
They all
like
sound
my
like
only
Murray.
Australian.
Every single one of them does. When you put it at 1.2, they all sound like Murray.
They do.
Yeah. But then there's this one point where Ollie does an impression for his brother where he just does his father.
Yes.
But even I'm like, oh, I can hear the difference.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like when somebody tries to do like the Boston accent, you know, it's like you can be from New Zealand and pick up that like, I don't know American accents, but I know that's different.
Sure. And not everyone in New Zealand talks exactly the same either. It just sounds the same to people who don't live there. Just like
Exactly.
all Southern accents sound the same
Yes.
to people who don't have one sometimes.
And all lawyers talk like this in America.
Exactly.
I am so disappointed with Sony Records.
So, Laura, we go on a reporting trip here. As you
Right.
mentioned, Ollie and his brother show up in the United States. They fly to Los Angeles. They also go to Paso Robles, which I just want to point out is not how that's pronounced, but it's so cute that they just stick with that.
I'll say, I don't know if you listened to the bonus episode with Jake Halpern from Ollie and Jake, and he said, I realize now I mangled that. And
I love
he gave,
that.
He gave a big apology. I mean, it's
I
very
think that's very
tongue-in-cheek, but
charming.
Yeah, why
I think
not?
it's very. He also, by the way, quoted American emails as if we would say NZ, which is not a thing we would say.
No.
Sorry, Ollie. You seem very nice, and I was not insulted by that. But, you know, we're nitpickers professionally.
We would
so.
have made the converse mistake 100%.
Exactly. So, Laura, reporting trip.
Yeah.
Thoughts?
I thought this was super fun because they're not going into it with this like, okay, we're stealing up for this horrible thing that we're about to do. They're like, this is an adventure and we're going to get some answers. And let's start with the muscle car. And I laughed out loud at that part. That was the same car one time some of my girlfriends and I went on a trip down to Edisto Island where we saw the Murdoch house, their summer house, and they assigned us that at the rental car place. And we were like, oh my fucking word, because you get in it and it's like, rum, rum, rum. So I immediately visualized that when they're talking about
The Temu Dodge Charger.
Yeah, it's like the off-brand Dodge
Yeah.
Charger.
Yeah.
We called ours the Growler
Yeah.
because it was so loud when it would like, brum, 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 like rumble like a boat.
It's hot and sunny, like California should be.
We're doing our best detective impressions in Hawaiian shirts and a muscle car. We're definitely more Flight of the Conchords than True Detective.
All right, we have the car running a gentle rumble in the background. It's a purr.
And then they have like their baseball caps and they're like, oh, and now we're going to go to this Tahoe place. And it's funny to also hear them talk about these different places because I'm like, of course, that's a place that's a touristy place that she would land. And I loved the way that they're describing what they're doing as they're driving around, you know, hearing from that guy Cameron, who was somebody else that was taken in by Lezlie. But I think the best scene from this journey was when they go outside the supermarket and they're staking it out.
Yes. And they have a confrontation with Lezlie. And Toby, I don't know about you, but I didn't think that conversation was going to go anywhere. But Ollie did a fantastic job following the advice of Maria Kornikova and just being like flatter and continue to ask questions in a way that's not confrontational or whatever. And he ended up getting a lot, don't you think?
Yeah, like the first couple minutes, I was like, okay, this is not going very well. I'm not getting much out of this. And then he just starts coming with the full-on, like, direct questions about specific things. And she's very smooth in dealing with it. Like, she's not, like, stammering or, like, caught off guard or whatever. It's like everything that comes up, she has this very quick, sort of rational answer to. I thought it was really interesting. It's a great scene of a guy who's a good journalist asking questions and a subject who's a good sociopath being able to completely like push him off and push him off and push him off.
I know you said that you kind of felt like it was unfair from both sides or anything. If you could elaborate a little bit.
Well, I just feel that we should have all been able to sit down and have an adult conversation. And to be really honest, Ollie, I blame your brother a little bit.
Although at the end, I was like, there's no fucking way she's meeting you guys tomorrow. Like, you might as well.
Oh, yeah.
You might as well just head.
I'll see you tomorrow. Sure.
You guys might as well head south and get a jump on the traffic or something, because that's not happening.
You may as well just that is definitely, I knew was not going to happen.
I was like, ask to see her driver's license.
Yeah, just like there was no way she was actually thinking about him just the day before and how much she missed him or
no
whatever.
way. No way.
Nope.
So, Kevin, what did you think about that scene?
No, I agree. I thought he did a great job keeping her talking. I didn't think he would get anything. I didn't think it would last long at all. But she was right that once that she was flattered enough, she would keep talking. I mean, I think, like, was every answer a quality answer? No. But did every one of them sort of provide some color and give you something to think about? Yeah, where she, I just wanted him to chase me. And like, they're fucking chasing you. All right, you know. But, yeah, I mean, I think that he pretty much kept his head about that.
Yeah.
Right? And he just kept her talking, bounced around on a couple of different issues, and not like, you know, he went down A, B, C, D, E, F, G instead of like A and then arguing A, right? Where I was like, get a follow-up. But if they were sitting down in Starbucks and they had a microphone, I have no doubt that he would have, come with the haymakers. But he is just trying to get
He's finding shit
everything
on his phone. Like, she thinks he's disorganized, so she feels confident. I'll tell you, what it
Look how
reminded me
these
of?
numbers just kind of trail off here.
What
Like
do you think
someone
about that?
pasted them, not
Well,
even.
that's why he reminded me in that moment of a really good courtroom like litigator, like a defense attorney. We saw this in a recent high-profile trial that I've talked way too often about. But like, you'd have a liar on the stand, like a known liar, and the lawyer would be like, "So this says this right here. What do you say about that?" And they'd be like, "Well, that's what it says. That's what it says." And it's like, you're basically admitting you just lied without saying you just lied. Like, and the answers also reminded me. They also reminded me the filling time reminded me of like when a sideline reporter in a football game talks to the coach or the quarterback as they're running off the field, and they say nothing. Like, it seems like they're giving a substantive answer, but they actually say nothing at all.
Have to play better in all three phases of the game.
She is a practiced deflector and a practiced liar, and like, he even said, like, he didn't believe her, but he even said, like, my instincts were to believe her, because that's what good liars do. I think she proved the point I'm always making on this podcast. People aren't stupid for being fooled. People get fooled by people who are really fucking good at fooling people. Laura, what did you think of her responses?
Oh, yeah. I was like Toby. I was like, there's no way. I've been in that situation when I go out to either do like newspaper interviews or when I'm doing like PI interviews, and you get one bite at the apple because these people say they're going to talk to you again, and they never do. If they do, that's a pleasant surprise. So it's like you get as much as you can when you get them, and you just try to keep them talking. And so I was listening to this. I was like, he was doing an amazing job, because he kind of does it in like an off-putting way a little bit, where he's like not bumbling, but just sort of like low key in it, so that
Let me look at my phone, see if I can find this thing.
Yeah, like I'm like, I know, I've done this trick. I love it. But listening to her, I was like, man, she is good. She is good. But I was waiting, because I'm like, what's going to happen next? I'm like, number one, she's not going to show up. And then she's going to turn on him. And then she did. But I couldn't believe how long he kept her talking. I thought it was amazing. I was there for it. I'm like, I love the fact that they're staking her out at the supermarket, and then he like pounces upon her. And she is just so quick on her feet. Oh, Ollie, I was just thinking about you yesterday. Oh my gosh, yes. Oh, I've missed
She wasn't.
you.
She doesn't.
And I'm like, you're so full of shit.
Her heart's still broken over Greg. No, it isn't.
Yeah, you're so full of it. So that was it. I don't. The only thing I did want to know, like, what kind of car was she driving? I don't recall that he like gave us a description, but when we later hear that she had been homeless at one point and everything, I was like, what was she driving for a car?
I don't know. Like, this is what I wanted to ask you about, Toby, because the one thing that I come away from with this podcast is that Ollie's family, his parents, his brothers, they're fucking nice people. They're empathetic people. They're kind people. They do exactly what we would do in that situation. Even like his aunt and uncle, who like built a room in their house for his parents. I'm like, everybody wants to have a family like this, right? But because they're so nice, they actually do the same thing that Beth's Dead, which we all didn't like, did, but it hits so differently. Where after Lezlie attacks him, he ends up sort of doing this reflective thing where he's like, really, this is just a very sad story about her. Like, what a way to live, right? What did you think about that turn at the end? Was it weird or did it work for you?
So I thought it was kind of the opposite of Beth's Dead. And because of that, it worked for me. I kind of felt like in Beth's Dead, it seemed as though this person was manipulating them into thinking that he had this difficult situation and all this, and they kind of bought it and then felt sorry for him. In this case, she wasn't trying to do that at all. She was trying to make it sound like she had it kind of together and that there were reasons why all this stuff happened and she wasn't floundering. And why they ended up feeling bad for her was when they found out facts about her from other people, like she was homeless or whatever, and then we're kind of reflecting on that and sort of being clear-eyed about it. I mean, like, yeah, this is her pattern, right? And she has to start over with nothing and just the weight of, you know, this continuing weight of these scams that she's pulled off and, you know, keeping one step ahead of the law, I guess. But so whereas Beth's Dead left me feeling a little uneasy because I was like, I just feel like you guys are just letting yourselves be manipulated again. In this case, they were not being manipulated again. Like, he was in control of that situation. And I think in the end, just because they're nice, kind of moral people and are able to kind of see things through clear eyes, it's just like, yeah, she totally screwed us over. Although they then are like, life gives you lemons, let's make lemonade. We're closer than we might have been if this never happened, you know, that kind of stuff.
We like living in basements.
It was just like, I mean, they're
well insulated.
They're so, like, the whole thing could have been like when bad things happen to nice people, but one of those nice people happens to be a journalist, because that's kind of the secret to this whole thing is they had one person who was a professional in getting stories, and he was like, I'm going to get this story. But yeah, I mean, their family just seems beyond reproach.
Yeah.
Have you heard of this new Netflix series, His and Hers? This mystery series stars Tessa Thompson as Anna, a journalist in Atlanta, and John Bernthal as Detective Jack Harper. When Anna catches wind of a murder in Dahlonega, the sleepy town where she grew up, Anna pounces on the case and searches for answers. Detective Jack Harper is strangely suspicious of her involvement, chasing her into the crosshairs of his own investigation. The closer they get to each other, the closer they get to the truth, and we cannot wait to see how it unfolds. Watch His and Hers now, only on Netflix.
Well, the holidays have come and gone once again, but if you've forgotten to get that special someone in your life a gift, well, Mint Mobile is extending their holiday offer of half off unlimited wireless. So here's the idea. You get it now. You call it an early present for next year. What do you have to lose? Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Limited time 50% off regular price for new customers. Upfront payment required. $45 for 3 months, $90 for 6 months, or $180 for 12-month plan. Taxes and fees extra. Speeds may slow after 50 gigabytes per month when network is busy. See terms.
Hi, neighbor. Welcome to Birch Lane, your home for classic furniture and decor. Make the most of every special moment this spring with new beds and dressers, home reno essentials, and more. Our timeless styles are crafted to bring joy for years to come and delivered fast and free, so you can celebrate what matters most. It's classic style for joyful living. Shop Birch Lane, a Wayfair specialty brand, at birchlane.com.
Imagine relying on a dozen different software programs to run your business, none of which are connected, and each one more expensive and more complicated than the last. It can be pretty stressful. Now imagine Odoo. Odoo has all the programs you'll ever need, and they're all connected on one platform. Doesn't Odoo sound amazing? Let Odoo harmonize your business with simple, efficient software that can handle everything for a fraction of the price. Sign up today at odoo.com. That's odoo.com.
All right, let's do what we do. Let's let our listeners know, should they check out the series Snowball? Right now, it's season 7 of the Deep Cover series from Pushkin. So look for Deep Cover, and then season 7 is Snowball, which is actually a different production called Unravel from the Australian Broadcasting Corporation. But
it's also in the original feed.
That's right. So you want to listen to Snowball, look for that. You will find it. There's not many things called Snowball. Laura Bricker, thumbs up or thumbs down for Snowball?
Yeah, this is a thumbs up for me, despite the fact that I spent most of the time listening to this trying to figure out where I had heard this story before, because I know I've heard this story at some point or another, which I'll probably remember at like 3 in the morning.
You and Toby shared fever dream?
Yeah. At 3 in the morning, I'm going to be like, I knew where I heard this. You know, I love a con man, con woman story. This was really fascinating because it's told by a family member that is able to have some distance from it because this happened a while ago. And the rest of the family is able to participate in this podcast in a way that, you know, they've had time to reflect. But the story is so wild. And there are so many interesting twists and turns as they're trying to follow up on this woman who basically scammed their family. I love the character of the father in this. If I was in that New Zealand area and needed an apprentice PI, if I was working down there, I would definitely hire that dad. And I think the story goes on and on. It's told with a sense of humor, which is really effective in, you know, humanizing it and telling it in a way that keeps it interesting without being too much. And the ending is a real surprise to me because we come away with a different perspective on the person at the center of this from the people that were scammed by them. And I think that was very unique in terms of the podcasts and the documentaries that we have consumed on this topic. So this was a thumbs up for me. There was some stuff with voice reenacting that I was like, but at the end of the day, the story was so compelling that I just kept listening.
Toby Ball, thumbs up or thumbs down for Snowball?
So one thing we didn't talk about during the main review, which I think might be important, is that it's kind of a cautionary tale, which is if you have a podcast and you give it to another company to put in their feed, you might end up with 10 minutes of Malcolm Gladwell doing ad reads each episode. And
does your business want to level up?
Yeah, so that was a little disappointing. But the podcast itself, I really enjoyed it. You know, I echo a lot of what Laura said. It is sort of one of those journey podcasts where it's like you're following the person who's doing the reporting. In this case, happens to be a family member, but he's A, good at his job, and B, is just like very likable. And like the whole family is very likable. I kind of felt like I had more of a rooting interest than I normally do in these kinds of things. Like sometimes, you know, I think people maybe push a little bit to make people more relatable or more likable or more whatever. And these guys don't try, they just kind of are. So I think it's a really good sort of addition to the sort of con person genre. I thought it was charming in the best possible way. There's a really good payoff at the end. Yeah, so I'm a strong thumbs up on this.
Kevin Flynn.
Yeah, I'm also thumbs up on Snowball. I found the characters to be charming. And like Toby said, I was rooting for them. I wanted to know more about them, but I think it's a little more than that. We certainly get a lot of con artist stories in true crimes because they're bloodless and they are sometimes puzzles. And I think, you know, they do sometimes seem common. I mean, to the point where my fellow podcasters have been Mandela affected. This is like the Berenstain Bears version of a crime podcast. It's like, it sounds familiar, right? Because we have seen many variations on this theme. That being said, I did like what was individual about this. I did like that there was a bit of a chase here, and it was for me, a satisfying ending. So, I mean, a lot of great things about it. I hope that if Unravel has some more really great stories like this, that they will share them with the rest of the world, or at least with the rest of the podcast industry. So this was a marvelous achievement.
Thumbs up for me, too. There were some formatic things that I didn't care for, but I also realized when I listen to something that's made in a different country that like the media aesthetic is very often different in different parts of the world, right? Like we've talked about in the past that a lot of times like BBC produced podcasts feel different. They have a different pace, you know, there's like a different thing. And I think the formatics thing might be a result of that. And I actually sort of kind of like the way it makes Americans seem cartoonish in that sense. But this it actually reminded me a lot of the podcast Ghost Story, which is one of my favorite shows of all time, because in that podcast, it's also a story that sort of originates with something around the family, and then the family ends up becoming kind of characters in the story, and the family ends up becoming like very kind of unlikable at the end. And you sort of find yourself wondering, what is this poor guy going to do at Thanksgiving this year or Christmas this year, spending time with this family that he has clearly just exposed in this podcast. But the family aspect of it is what makes it good. I felt the same way here, because what is basically a story we've heard over and over and over again about somebody who's very good at lying to people to get what they want and having that control. It had an angle that I really, really loved. And as Toby wrote in his notes, but didn't say expressly, do not fuck with the family of a good journalist. Just don't do it. Just don't do it. And this is a good example of why. So yeah, thumbs up for me for Snowball. Now it's time for my favorite part of the podcast, a little something I like to call
The Crime of the Week.
The Crime of the Week. Calling all fans of The Pit and Grey's Anatomy, here are some of the worst things doctors pulled from people's butts in 2025. You might not be aware that the Consumer Product Safety Commission keeps a database on emergency room visits involving foreign objects. About 39,000 visits each year involve the rectum. Half are mishaps with a typical sex toy, but there are many more cases that even seasoned physicians take note of. Among the items mentioned in government reports and medical journals in 2025 are a rock, an egg, a corn on the cob holder, and uncooked pasta. Advanced level objects included a doorknob, a sandal, and a light bulb glass side first. For those willing to answer the question, why? One said that they inserted a baseball to see what it felt like. One tried to use beard clippers wrapped in plastic to cure their constipation, and another was just bored, so they put a full bottle of shampoo in their ass. Doctors say the issue isn't that big things don't fit into small things, it's that the rectum's natural suction makes those things difficult to remove. They urge people to seek help at the ER and try not to work it out on their own. The physicians often need to also retrieve tweezers, pliers, and even coat hangers from failed DIY attempts to solve the problem. So panel, the second most painful thing is having to explain to the doctor what happened. What did some of these people have to say for themselves? Laura Bricker.
Well, that was a Pinterest fail.
What do you think, Toby? What do some of these people have to say for themselves?
I thought my pet was a suppository.
Oh, what about you, Kevin? What do people have to say for themselves?
I'm never sitting down at the zoo again.
Oh, my goodness. All right. Well, that's going to do it for us. Laura Bricker, if folks want to reach out to you and say hello, how can they find you online?
You can send me some Pinterest wins that I can't mess up at Laura Bricker on Blue Sky and Instagram.
What about you, Toby Ball? How can people find you online?
At Toby Ball NH on Blue Sky and at Toby Ball 603 on Instagram.
What about you, Kevin?
I'm at Kevin P. Flynn.
You can find me everywhere at Reb Lavoie.
P stands for Dr. Phil.
Yes, you can find me everywhere at Reb Lavoie. And please watch Something's Off on YouTube or sign up for our Patreon to get the audio version. Get everything we make at Patreon at patreon.com/partnersincrimemedia. Our theme song was composed and performed by Tyler Gibbons, and our editor is the terrific Livy Burdett. The EP of this show is Kevin. This show was recorded in the Caitlin Rogers Project Studio, also known as Studio C, the closet in our New Hampshire basement where we also think Dr. Phil would be very interested in our life stories. On behalf of all the crime writers, thanks so much for listening. We will catch you later. One patient said they inserted a basketball to see what it felt like.
A basketball?
Gee, whoa.
Hold on a second.
Sorry, I was trying.
The funeral was on Thursday.
All right, take two.
All right.
Partners in Crime Media.
Hey everybody, it's Babs. I am so excited to tell you about Birch Lane, a brand that shares my passion for classic style and joyful living. Their classic furniture and decor helps you celebrate it all, from big holiday gatherings to everyday moments at home. Each piece is carefully crafted and delivered fast and free so you can celebrate what matters most. Shop my hand-picked Birch Lane collection and more classic styles at birchlane.com.
Hi, I'm Angie Hicks, co-founder of Angie, and one thing I've learned is that you buy a house, but you make it a home. Because with every fix, update, and renovation, it becomes a little more your own. So you need all your jobs done well. For nearly 30 years, Angie has helped millions of homeowners hire skilled pros for the projects that matter. From plumbing to electrical, roof repair to deck upgrades. So leave it to the pros who will get your jobs done well. Hire high-quality pros at Angie.com.
Imagine relying on a dozen different software programs to run your business, none of which are connected, and each one more expensive and more complicated than the last. It can be pretty stressful. Now imagine Odoo. Odoo has all the programs you'll ever need, and they're all connected on one platform. Doesn't Odoo sound amazing? Let Odoo harmonize your business with simple, efficient software that can handle everything for a fraction of the price. Sign up today at odoo.com. That's ODOO.com.